my hope is that somebody who thinks, yeah, I'm nothing, I'm not a great athlete, I didn't come from that background, I don't know what I'm doing, I'm not good enough, or, I have my own struggles, don't think that great things can't happen. Yeah. And just, it's right there.
Hi, everybody. Sean Connor, CEO with E-Team Sponsor. Welcome back to the E-Team Sponsor podcast. Joined by two people in person today. We don't have too many in-person podcasts, so this is great. So we're here with Jason Caldwell and Tom Magarov. Thank you so much for joining us in the flesh, guys.
Pleasure.
Tom, I'll do it here so we don't the sea of hands doesn't happen. But for those of you tuning in, first time meeting Jason. Jason is the author of Navigating the Impossible. And we're here today with Tom because we're celebrating the release of a new feature film.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
Chasing, which chronicles Jason and the Lat 35 team in their world record-breaking crossing of the Atlantic back in 2016. So Tom was the land manager during that run, and then 2015, actually, I won't give the whole story away, but yeah, Tom had an important role to play in that one as well. So, gentlemen, thanks for being here.
In the first few minutes.
Yeah,
man.
I know, right? We appreciate you guys being here. Thanks for coming in.
Yeah,
so,
of course.
You got it. Well, hey, let's jump in first. Congratulations, you got the movie that's out. I know it's been years in the making. So, how does it feel?
It's a weight off for sure. I mean, I'm glad we didn't know when we got into the film business that it was going to take this long, be this tough. I don't know if it would happen, but now that it's out, it's great. Just happy to start sharing the story and allowing people to internalize it, just like we were just sharing over lunch there, what it means to you, what it meant to some of the team here. So that's my favorite part.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
What I guess having seen it now, and it's great. We're here in North America. We actually get to see it. I guess it'll be released to the rest of the world here soon.
Yeah, another month and a half, which
is great. So kind of tell us a little bit about, you said it's a relief. You feel better about it being done now. What were maybe what were the highs and the lows throughout bringing it to where it is now?
Well, you've got the story as you remember it and as you see it, and then the story that's going to be shown to the world. And you want ideally those to be exactly the same. And even Tom and I, sharing a boat for 51 days together, interpreted those 51 days in differently. 30-foot boat together, only two people on it, and we see it differently. That's just because we're comparing that experience with the rest of our lives. And so, when you're working with producers and directors and editors and sound people, people holding the camera, and they're all seeing it differently. They all want to try to get the story that they are inspired by to everybody else. So I think it was just kind of trying to line those up, and we're subject matters of it. We're also producers of it because we did a lot of the back end stuff. And so there's concessions you have to make. You want this part to make it and this part to be cut out, and producers that know better than we say, no, this is what it is. So I think that's the hardest part, is that you are trying to keep the emotion out of it, which is impossible, to be fair.
Sure.
Because it's emotional,
and
we did it. And then, but at the same time, you want to be true to yourself, true to the story. It's a documentary, it's nonfiction, so it needs to be true. Yeah. So people need to know that if they were inspired by it, that it actually really happened. And it did. So
let's get into that. I mean, first, let's talk about the who, like who you guys are, what you do. So you talk a little bit, a quick background on both yourself. So as we share your story and we go through this, because my first question is going to be, why do you row across the Atlantic? So, but just, for the listeners and the viewers, tell us a little bit about your backgrounds and what you're doing now.
Sure. Grew up in the San Francisco Bay Area, Walnut Creek more specifically. Played the classic American sports of baseball and football. Played baseball at Sonoma State. Got injured. Got into rowing as a result. Went from a sport that was well known at Sonoma to a sport that was unknown to me and to pretty much everybody else on campus. Went to NC2A, a club. That was interesting, but fell in love with the sport of rowing very, very quickly. Had some success at that level. Was invited to an elite Olympic training team afterwards on the East Coast in Philadelphia. rowed at the Vesper Boat Club for 3.5 years, won a couple gold medals, nationals, a silver and a bronze as well.
Awesome.
And thanks. And then didn't make the Olympics, didn't qualify for the Olympics.
And that was the goal.
That was the goal. That's when you're at that level, that's where you're going. So didn't. But during my time there, got in with a company that was doing leadership training and development. And that was actually quite interesting to me at the time because on the team, I was the shortest and lightest guy. I was 6'4", 220 pounds. I'm small for elite rowing. Yeah.
Shortest.
My
and
gosh,
lightest.
you should see them. I mean, you'll see it in the doc. You'll see some of the docs.
Yeah.
But I mean, I'm short.
Yeah.
And so leadership development, team development was interesting because I was at that time trying to literally figure out how does a guy like me that's too small, too light, too inexperienced stay on a team like this. And so I ended up making the team, but also got linked up with a company that was teaching that stuff in the corporate environment. So it was interesting to me. During that time that I was there, and even after I retired from rowing, stayed with that company, I met my good friend and teammate Tom here. He started working there as well. And we became best friends along the time. We traveled around the world together. I mean, we've been to 30 some odd countries together. It's crazy.
Wow.
Yeah.
Holy
That's
cow.
something that people don't know, by the way.
Wow. How about that? For those,
Yeah.
for everyone that's tuning in.
You heard
we
it
got our
first
own-
here.
We heard it first here. We've got our own Tom cam here. For those that want to become more enamored with Tom and his journeys. 30, how many?
I mean, it's got to be in the 30s.
30,
I've been to
30-some
like
countries,
50 countries, but only 30 of them.
What a great experience. I mean,
Yeah.
that's probably a whole nother podcast just in its own.
Yeah. So I'll leave it there. So that's where I'm, and I'll transfer it over to Tom.
Yeah.
So.
So originally from southern part of old Soviet Union Russia, country called Azerbaijan, independent country now, capital of Baku on Caspian Sea. And I moved to U.S. in 2002, went to Westchester University for business and minor in psychology. And that's where I started rowing at a club, Wilmington Rowing Center. Met Jason shortly after that. Spent about 3.5 years actually in corporate world. Realized that is not the business I was looking to be a part of, not what they taught me in school. And I decided to ultimately venture out and do my own thing. So semi-successful entrepreneur, you would say, for now.
Cool. We'll give a little pub, Oliver and Gold, in the,
Oliver and
beautiful
Gold.
town of Danville, California.
Yeah, we also run a company called Caspian Events. We do corporate events, retreats, executive travel, and things like that. And also run the Great Pacific Race, an ocean rowing race from San Francisco to Hawaii. Next race is in 2024.
And you're doing it.
And, I'm not rowing it, I am running the
You're
race.
right. Okay,
let's
got
be
it.
clear.
Running it.
Yes,
Okay.
this is
We're rowing.
in charge of the race,
Yes.
not the rowing.
Yes, and as we learned from the documentary, there was a no
Something,
on doing it again. Got it. Okay.
Expletive no.
Awesome. Well, that's good. Well, I think it's important to get a little background for what we're going to segue into next, which is this story that they just created a movie on. And so, I guess maybe the first question is why? Like, what was the internal motivation? What was the external inspiration to want to row across the Atlantic Ocean? Not just row it, break the world record. Because I got that right? That was the goal from the jump.
I mean, I think it's. I'll talk first, and then I'd like it's good to hear your why because they're different. But I mean, first of all, if you zoom out here, I've rowed across 3 oceans. I've rowed the Atlantic once in 2015-16 with Tom, again 16 and 17 with another team, and then last year rowed the Pacific from San Francisco to Hawaii. So there's been 3 crossings and a bunch of other things as well, but the why has changed, to be fair. So, on our crossing, for me personally, I'm not speaking for Tom, but for me it was to break a world record, to prove to myself and to my family and my friends and my peers that I wasn't just a good rower. I was a great rower. Baseball didn't work out. Olympics didn't work out for me. All this stuff, as I like to call it, like kind of a wall full of silver medals. I wanted to kind of bust that open. That was my why. It was my strong motivator. Today, that's not my why. I've got 2 world records in 2 different oceans, and now the why is whatever I do next. Even if it is chasing a world record, it won't be the intrinsic motivation. And I think Tom and I talk about this a lot. For me, the intrinsic motivation these days is because no matter what, I know I'll be different for the next thing I do. So
Sure.
I start now, but by the time I finish it, it will have changed me, and I like being changed. I like that feeling of coming back and being a different person, seeing things differently, and that's why I do it now. So that's mine.
Love it. Tom?
Yeah. As you so skillfully put it in your question, external and internal motivation, right?
Yeah.
So I would start with an external. External was my current state of where I was in life in terms of work, and friendships and next steps. And my external motivation was to be there with my best friend, my coworker, doing something really, really cool. Um, to represent the country that gave me the opportunity, because at that point I was working at Home Depot as a second up manager, and I was like, this is so crazy,
kidding.
it's so cool. Yeah,
Wow.
I was making 47,000 a year, and I was on cloud nine.
Yeah.
By comparison to where I came from.
Sure.
So I wanted to go out there and represent this country, but internally, it was ultimately part of my personal journey that I was going through as an immigrant that came to this country with not a lot, and had my childhood ripped away from me, my parents ripped away from me. So it was part of that journey, even though it seems like I was a part of this journey. It ultimately was a stepping stone in mine.
Wow. Two really
Very
contrasting,
different.
whys as to how, why you get into it. And it's so interesting. I mean, you go two different ways there. You've got, you guys get up and go to work every day. You have careers that you've worked really hard to build. I didn't know that you worked at Home Depot. That's an incredible.
Who do you think I call first when thing breaks in my house?
Right, we're getting this guy right. So because here you are, you're getting up and you put in your 8, your 10, however many hours that you're working in a day, and you're training for this. So how long did it take you to train to be able to row across an ocean?
2 years, our entire lives. I don't know, somewhere between there. It's like, I think the traditional answer would be like, takes you 2 years to properly train for these types of crossings.
Wow.
The physical aspect, of course, is the obvious one, but then
Sure.
it's the corporate sponsorship required to buy an expensive boat like that, to buy all the mounted and unmounted equipment, to learn how to use that equipment. You have to take certification courses to be even eligible to the start line. It's a complex, it's a complex process to get even just to the start line. I would consider getting to the start line successful just to get there, because it's hard.
And then the race starts.
And then all you have to do is row 3,000 miles after that, and you're good.
Yeah, no big deal.
But it's a great thing that Tom just said, is like his why comes from his childhood. We're about the same age, but we grew up in very different lives.
Sure.
Both had a lot of love in our lives. Both had a lot of support, but let's be fair. I grew up in the Bay Area, and he grew up in Soviet-era Russia. That's different. That is going to inform how we look at these races and how we approach training and how we approach crossing.
Yeah.
So
wow. Incredible. Well, so I guess I'll jump into, let's go to 2015, 2016, as we, they did a phenomenal job, by the way, in this documentary. So everybody that's listening or watching, you definitely got to download purchased Chasing.
Don't illegally download
it.
Yeah,
no pirating. Make sure we pay the $9.99 on Amazon or iTunes. We got a couple of different ways to be able to get it now, but definitely worth it. It's a 90-minute. Extremely well done documentary. So I think I'd jump into 2015, 2016. Was there a lot of wrangling to try to get you to do it at that point, or were you guys pretty much on the same page from the beginning that we're going to do this together?
No, interesting question. Ultimately, what happened was I was not part of the team while I was helping the team. I was ultimately the last on the team, and the reason for that was we never discussed that option, because I never thought that would be a possibility or something I would be interested in. As I was helping out Jason, round up the team, figure out the equipment, because this is what I'm good at. I can get the logistics, right?
Sure.
So I'm starting to see something there that I could potentially be very beneficial to, because a rowing stroke is relatively simple. Catch to finish, 9 seconds, you're done. All the things that can go wrong that need to be fixed on your journey, every single broken screw is or bolt is away from the record, pushes you away from the record. So I thought, hey, what if I contribute to this team in that way, right? What if I wasn't the strongest and the fastest? What if I wasn't the extreme athlete in rowing? What if I could help out in other ways? What if I could find a utility within
glue
myself?
guy.
Yeah,
love
it.
right.
I love it.
Everybody got to have one.
Yeah, sure.
So that's ultimately what happened. And then when I spoke to Jason, I told him, like, this is why I want to do it. I want to be part of this team because I want to support. I want to also represent the chance that was given to me by this country. There wasn't that much. It was kind of agreed upon really quick.
Yeah, I mean, it was kind of like he's right. I didn't think about asking him to be on the team. It wasn't out of disrespect. It was, I come from this team, before that, where I was the smallest guy. I was looking to recruit. I wanted to be the smallest guy again, to be fair.
Sure.
I was going to all my elite teammates from Vesper. And so I wasn't even really thinking that way. And now if you look back, we're also naive to ocean rowing at this point. We don't know that the non-rowing hours are equally as important and difficult as the rowing hours. We all know how to row. Like Tom says, the stroke is pretty simple. Yeah, mentally and emotionally it's tough. Physically it can be exhausting. But when you get off those oars, you have 2 hours to take care of anything with the boat that needs to be fixed. Take care of your teammates. Take care of yourself. Sleep, eat, drink water. Like that is a difficult thing, and things are going to break. Sure. And so, thank God that he did see the races being two halves that both need to be satiated, and that's what Tom was coming from. And as he's kind of telling me that, and we're starting to learn more about the race, it was obvious we needed a glue guy.
Yeah, glue guys are.
Yeah.
There's books been written on it, right? Well chronicled. So, a couple things there I jump into next would be, what was looking back at that time, your time in the boat. I think one of the things that probably stands out to me most from this, and look, we were the beneficiaries of Lat 35 coming in, and your great corporate event packaged day that we had together at our company kickoff back in January, and we got to we got the books, but we got to hear the story. We had some great team building exercises, but something that our team took away was breakfast in the boat. Mm-hmm. It's something we do on Mondays now as a company.
That's cool.
Yeah,
that's awesome.
That's pretty cool. Tell us about breakfast in the boat with what where that came from.
Yeah, start off and fill in, please. We're 600 miles into this 3,000 mile race. We're having not one but two teammates have to evacuate. This is a 4-person team. One guy because he's very sick and he needs medical attention. The other guy because he just doesn't want to be there anymore.
Yeah.
And so we're looking down Tom chooses to stay with me. We have this evacuation. We're in third to last place. We start rowing, him and I together. You're rowing 2 hours on, 2 hours off, 24 hours a day throughout the entire crossing. So you're on the deck of the boat rowing by yourself for 2 hours while the other guy's trying to get some rest. Then you swap. So we're doing this constantly. And to make matters worse, we run into Hurricane Alex, like an unprecedented hurricane for that time of year, which was still January. And we're just getting battered by this storm. And it's we're at our wit's end. Like we're coming out of this storm. We've been on our own for about a week now. We're not even close to the halfway point, and I'll be honest with you, I feel like maybe we made a mistake. We should quit. We should have quit. We should have got off that sailboat when it took our other two teammates. And I'm finishing like the last shift. It's like the 6 a.m. to 8 a.m. shift I have. It's probably just a couple minutes till it's over, 7:58 or something like that. Tom's kind of behind me coming out of his cabin, and I'm just down. I'm done. I am wrecked. And he knows that because that's him too. He's just as wrecked as I am. There's, we're both there. This is no hero's journey at this point where one of us is pulling the other. We are both down. And, up to this point, you see each other every 2 hours for a few minutes. That's it. Guy coming off the shift to be like, give data. Hey, I'm keeping it between 260, 265 degrees, whatever it is, It rained on me 45 minutes. Here's the foul weather gear here in case you need it. And the guy coming on shift would just kind of like offer these like words of encouragement, empathy, whatever you want to call it. And So I'm looking forward to hearing whatever he has to say and then going to bed. And he completely changed his direction. And correct me if I'm wrong, Tom, like
Yeah.
probably didn't think about it as a time as anything other than you were asking a serious question. And the question he asked is, what do you want for breakfast? It's just like, but it seems so out of context
Yeah.
where we were.
Sure.
Like
All
that
that
would
you're dealing
sound
with.
right if we were roommates and I was coming down the stairs and he happened to be making coffee anyway. And
Sure,
he was like,
yeah.
what do you want for breakfast? But it
Yeah.
wasn't that. It was
Yeah.
me rowing 2 hours being beat up. He was beat up and, we're like this. And so it annoyed me for a second. But instead, I kind of just answered the question, which was that I would have the chicken risotto, which was my favorite freeze-dried meal.
Yeah.
And he said that he would get the spaghetti bolognese. And then he asked if I wanted coffee and I wanted creamer in the coffee. He was getting very detailed about the breakfast. And we got all those questions answered. And he did it. I wrote a little extra and he cooked more and he made breakfast. And then without any hope or agenda, and we have pictures of this, is that we turned around. I just stopped rowing and I turned around. We faced each other. It's a little 30-foot boat, I turned around and we just had breakfast together. It wasn't even a big deal. It was just we ate and we got to talk. And I hadn't seen or talked to someone. Think about 3 days of almost zero conversation from anybody. It's just like, that can be maddening in itself.
Sure, yeah.
So we just chatted. And I don't know. What was your perspective from that first breakfast?
I mean, do you want to hear the truth?
Yeah, we want the truth, man. Come on, we got our own Tom cam here. We're zeroed in on you.
How about this? I'll tell you what only one person in the world knows, and that's my current girlfriend, about that story. When I was growing up, I loved my grandfather more than my father at some point because I lived with him for almost 2 years while my parents were busy. And he had this ritual of every morning before he would go. He was a jeweler at a mall. He would wake up early in the morning, make himself some tea, and just sit there and do work. And I, as a kid, adored it. And what I would do as a kid, I would set an alarm now to wake up at 4:15 to sit with him while the sun was coming up.
Nice.
It was his ritual, and I sat there quietly while he used the calculator with the beads, right, to do the math. Yeah, going back here.
Wow.
Sounds pretty accurate.
So that happens over the last 15 years, going through a whole bunch of stuff in personal life and life itself in general. I found this ritual within me where I am the quietest in my brain, and my anxieties are the quietest in the morning after I wake up. And what I have a chance to do, and it's a very short window, about hour to hour and a half, I get to sit down with myself, truly with myself.
Yeah.
And in that peace and quiet, I get to have a conversation, an internal conversation, and discuss what happened yesterday and discuss what's going to happen today. I forget about that once in a while, but when I remember, I go back into it. So during that row, I think Jason will remember, I would make tea out of dried fruit because we ran out of tea.
Yeah.
And I would just dice up these dried fruit and mangoes and make tea in the morning. And I would have this private, 15 to 20 minutes every day. And I would just digest things that are happening in my head and, kind of clearing the cache in a way.
Sure.
So the night he's referring to, the third night of that storm, at about 4 a.m. or something like that, it's halfway through my shift. The reason he has his hoodie on, and we're wet and we're soaked, is because it's been a very violent night. And I'm in this carbon fiber cabin that every wave sounds like a just hurricane. It's like a drum I'm sleeping in. So I'm deep in my REM sleep, and I wake up from this big hit, and I'm sleeping on my face, my stomach down, and I lift up and I don't see anything through the window, and I panic so hard. I try to open the door to see if my best friend is still there.
Yeah.
What happens is, because I'm in my REM sleep, I can't move my fingers and my arm. So I'm slapping my arm against the window, trying to pull on the handle, but I can't. It's all happening within 3 seconds. My body's not catching up with me. So ultimately, I'm trying to open this hatch, and then I manage to get a grip on it, open, and I see him there in this dark with a little red light, and he's just getting battered by these waves left and right. And my panic subsides a bit, and I realize that he's okay. And that's just the reality of the night, so I go to sleep. But during that time, I do the same thing in the mornings. I come to myself and I deal with things. And that morning, I realized that maybe I shouldn't do it alone for once, right? So that causes you to reach out, which I'm not good at. So that was my way of reaching out to my best friend, because I got very scared for him.
Yeah. Wow. Amazing. That is pretty.
That's cool.
That is pretty cool. That is really cool. Well, thanks for sharing that. Now that I guess there's 2 more people that know that, and whoever else is going to end up watching.
I'm in the process of learning how to share and reach out.
There you go.
Thanks
All right,
to,
good. Well,
thanks to 4 failing therapists and one really good one, and one really good one.
I love it. Checks in the mail for the previous 4. That's really cool. Well, I think. Again, just an amazing story, an amazing journey. I'd love to get your perspective just on what are you most proud of from what you accomplished?
I think, well, are you talking about this first row?
I'd say just anything. I mean, you're obviously very accomplished. I mean, whether it's the row, whether it's your, anything in your life. But I know these experiences play, I'm sure, a huge part in both of your lives. But I've never tried anything like this or accomplished anything much like it. So it's just, I'm interested, and I'm sure people would be too. Like, how does that, what are you most proud of? Whether it's from the movie, whether it's from the documentary, whether that's from the experience itself, whether it's from things that you've taken from that and learned and been able to apply it to your life. I'd love to just see kind of how that shapes, your perspective.
I think I'll go first. I think for me, the act of rowing in these things is difficult, but that's kind of what my strong suit is. So I'm it's not like, I don't think, Steph Curry is particularly proud that he's good at shooting. He is already a phenomenal shooter, and he's constantly trying to get that better. He's probably proud of other aspects of his game that he tries to strengthen. So for me, I think I'm most proud of being able to continue to be a well-rounded family member, friend, contributor to my community and all those types of things while doing these things. I think, and we've seen it with other teammates, that they can only give all of themselves to one or the other. So when they're training for these rows, they neglect their family, they neglect their friends, they neglect their business, and they suffer the consequences for that. And that is the price they have to pay to be ready for these rows. For me personally, I've still been able to, I got married 3 weeks before our row. So, and I'm still married to the same lady, which is nice. And I've got a 3-year-old who seems pretty well adjusted, at least so far. And the business continues to do well. Thank goodness. And so I'm happy and proud that I'm able to at least keep a fine balance. And that's not an easy thing to do.
Yeah, I bet. Again, I just think it's so remarkable to know that you lead the lives that you guys do.
Yeah, we're not professionals.
Yeah, right.
We don't this isn't what we get paid to do.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, you don't get paid 1 red cent for that. Yeah. So incredible. How about you?
Yeah. I would say personally for me, ability to experience something that not a lot of people experience in a worst case possible, with everything kind of going wrong, and learning that whatever gets thrown at you can be dealt with. And as they say, this too shall pass.
Mm-hmm. Sure. And
actually living through that for once, having the ability and the privilege to live through it, and then carry on with those lessons into your everyday life, because now everything, this too shall pass.
Yeah, love it. I love it. Jay, how would you like to see what you've now had created in the documentary? How would you like to see that impact others?
Yeah, we were talking about it before. I would love, my wildest dream would be for this documentary to find its mainstream, not in Hollywood, not amongst the world's greatest outdoor documentaries, but in the school system. I would just love for this to find a home in America's schools, even further than that, where it will teach children. We got to cut out a couple of swear words, but we'll teach children too that it's not over. If your initial dream at 10 years old was to be a baseball player, a football player, a ballerina, whatever it is, it's not over because you got injured, because your talent will no longer allow you to go further than that step. Whatever it is, there is time. We can. The most important thing is not to continue that particular dream. It's just to keep dreaming, and the dreams can change. All right, but we need to keep dreaming. And I always say to myself, like, what would my world look like if I continued to dream like the 10-year-old version of Jason that was, and that's what I try to do. So if we can get that story out, if we can get people to think that just because, they're not running 440s, and they're no longer going to be
Sure.
a whiteout after high school. That
Sure,
they're that basically the world's over,
Yeah.
and what else is there to do but go get a job? That's not true.
Yeah.
If they will push on, then we've done our job.
I love it. And it's especially now with
So
all
much pressure.
so much pressure in at the young adolescent age. I mean, even so much different than we're all around the same age, much different than what we didn't have social media and a lot of the other things out there that can create these external stressors and anxiety.
I thought I was good at basketball. That's how
Yeah.
uninfluenced I was. And I was not good at basketball.
Yeah.
So let's be clear.
You
on
can
that.
put me in that category too. I didn't have a left hand.
I was like, I didn't have a right.
Yeah.
I thought I was. I actually think I'm pretty good. Thank
Yeah.
goodness there was no social media to let me know that there was kids
Oh,
my
yeah.
age
No,
dunking
they're
the
a lot
ball.
better than
Yeah.
me. Yeah. I love that. I love that. No, that's great. That's and I think that's something that I do feel the same way, that would be a fantastic place for it. Obviously with our business, trying to influence as much as we can, high school and college student athletes. I think it's such a great story. So talk to us a little bit just with Lat 35. We're very familiar with it. For those that are out there that maybe that aren't, and again, Jason's got the Navigating the Impossible book here, and this is something that he covered with us during the Lat 35 session that we had during our company kickoff. But tell us more about it.
Yeah, Lat 35 is a company that we've talked about the racing side of it. So those are our teams out there racing and doing these cool adventures and creating cool stories. But the big brother to that is a leadership development company. Essentially, we work teaching corporations, and we work at business schools too, about that kind of intersection between leadership and teams. They're pretty codependent. You can't have one without the other. Great teams are built by great leaders. Great leaders can facilitate other leaders to come in so that there's interdependency. So we teach that. We teach that through a lot of cool ways. We teach that through experiential programs where we take people out rowing or sailing. We teach that by bringing other great adventure athletes in there and learning from them how they built their teams and how they led their expeditions. We do that through a health and performance program that you're familiar with, where to be a great part of a team, you need to be healthy, both inside and out. You need to manage your health. This is no longer the days where you should be bragging about working 70 hours a day, is neglecting your family, not drinking enough water, not getting enough sleep. Those used to be the macho things that we used to talk about.
Yeah.
It's not the world we live in anymore, and that's not healthy. So all of that stuff, we're here to teach, and we do.
Yeah, it's great, and you got a great little moment in there when you talked about your the leadership and teamwork component by having everybody in the boat rowing in the same direction at the same time. It was great opportunity to dig in on that too. Well, cool. I'd love to have a little bit of fun with you guys too. Talk about the time. Here you are. You've got two of your teammates have unfortunately can't finish the race. You guys are how many miles at that point?
600
in.
of a 3,000-mile race.
So you got 2,400 to go.
Yeah.
Okay, no kidding. So that's 2,400 miles, by the way. And the two of you crazily decide we're going to do this together. So we'll have a little fun, a little rapid fire. 2,400 miles. How many days was that?
The rest of it was minus 11. We lost them on the day 11.
Yeah, so 40.
40. So
days.
40 days together. All right. In those 40 days, I'm sure you guys saw a lot and experienced a lot. So, all right. What's the most memorable thing you remember? Like visually, you could still see it now.
God,
I think the orca.
Oh,
for me.
yeah.
There was an orca that followed us for a day.
That's right.
Okay, an
Yeah,
orca?
swimming with it.
Yeah,
Okay.
and then I had to go inside the water. I didn't know it was still with us, and when I got out,
How about you?
At one point it was so calm, there was no wind and there was no ripple on the
Okay.
water.
Okay.
And I realized that sound comes from trees and buildings and land. So it was so quiet, you thought you went deaf.
yeah,
And we stood there and we're like, wait, what? This is unreal, because you never
Yeah.
experienced that.
Yeah. Wow. How about
it's
that?
deafening.
That's
The silence is deafening.
Wow.
You think something is
Yeah,
off.
it's weird.
Yeah.
It is so
Did you
weird.
literally check
I did.
yourself?
Oh, one time I was like, oh, I can hear my skull.
There's a
being-
shot.
I can hear-
There's a shot in the doc that actually shows that day. A
You're
couple
looking over
yeah,
that.
that you
That's
can.
the one.
It's coming over my shoulder, and you see it. You see that the water's as flat as can be. It's crazy.
So what's the one thing you try to see in memory, but you can't?
For me, it would be I had a couple of really vivid visual effects, I guess I would call it, at night when I was really, really beat up and hungry and exhausted. I keep imagining things.
Yeah.
Sometimes I go back to them. I kind of remember a couple, but I don't remember most. But I remember there were like 5.
Okay.
I think for me, I have trouble remembering the finish line that much because
Really?
you go from almost no stimulation,
Wow.
right? It's nothing but blue water and just one other guy in a boat. And then all of a sudden you come into these hundreds of people with buildings and trees and family members and hugs and kisses. And like, it overwhelmed me. So like I focus on the same few little shots, but I was there, we were there on the shore when we came in for hours. I can't remember.
That was a blur.
Yeah, that got me.
What's the one thing looking back on it that you would absolutely 100% never want to see again?
Losing your teammate to another boat that takes them away, maybe?
Yeah, that's not a good one. I mean, that is a good one. That's not something I'd want to see again. I'd never want to see again, though. It's more of a feel. Can I give you a feel?
Sure, yeah,
okay.
absolutely.
There's nothing worse than getting inside that cabin on those flat, hot, humid, no wind days, and basically the cabin becomes a sauna, and you're just sitting in there, and you're trying to get your 2 hours rest, but you're just sweating so much that the salt is burning your eyes because it's dripping in your eyes. Yeah. I would love to never have to do that
again. Got it. What was the most rewarding meal?
Chicken risotto is going to be mine.
Chicken risotto, okay.
Yeah, I'm not going to change.
Mac and cheese for me. Was
mac
amazing.
and cheese.
Mac and cheese.
Backpackers Pantry. Mac and cheese.
You're giving us that discount, dog.
That's awesome. Was there anything that you had to just stuff it down because it was what you had that you're like, if I never have to eat that again?
I got sick. They had a ham and eggs version of that, and it's not your mom's ham and eggs. It is little diced ham and little egg bits, and we were on anchor when I was having it. It just kind of caught my throat in a way that made me feel so nauseous. Okay. Even to this day, scrambled eggs don't sound good to me.
Got it.
I was always poached.
You can't do it. Wow, so it ruined it for you.
Totally ruined it for me.
Wow, how about that? Was there anything that you sang in your head or out loud? Was there music?
Yeah.
Dear Mama by Tupac Shakur.
Yep.
That was a big one I did.
Okay.
Dear Mama.
Dear Mama.
I have a video of that.
Wow. Okay.
I don't know why the beat is like when I was young, me and my mama had beef 17 years old. It just worked with the way it was going.
Okay. All right. That is not what I thought I was going to hear.
And the other one for me, the beat was, I don't know who it is, but what if God was one of us? I don't know why. These are the two ones.
All right.
Tom, what about you?
I'm not going to lie. I don't remember. I remember singing a lot. I think it was nonsense because at one point I was like, what if I'm a great musician and I can write music? Let's try. I'm rowing. So I did random things. Nothing memorable.
Nobody sang row, row, row your boat. Right?
No,
I don't think so.
Yeah, I know.
Also, for me, it was very American. It was very American for me. So I was like, nah, you guys do that a lot.
That's pretty good. That's pretty good. Well, so one of the things that stood out to me in the documentary was the fact that you put together like an agenda for like 1 p.m. karaoke, and I died when Matt.
Matt.
Matt says, "Well, we've got." He's recording himself and he's talking through the agenda for the day, and the fact that you put together these.
No, I didn't put it together. I didn't put it together.
Oh,
that was not a real thing.
That was Matt. Just being himself. He's so funny.
It was beautiful.
Okay. Yeah, he was really good on that race about bringing levity to the team when it got serious. Yeah. When we were, chasing that world record, he brought levity. Sometimes it was just to himself. We didn't even know that those things existed until we saw the GoPro footage later.
If I may add, he's reading the crisis plan.
Yeah, you can see that.
You can see what it is. It's if shit goes wrong, this is what you read to survive. It's
when
amazing.
You pull to eject.
What a creativity.
Oh my gosh, that's pretty good. Well, that's even better now. So
No, are you think I got time to say?
I was going to say there was no karaoke, so we didn't have any karaoke time.
No.
Okay, I was going to say if you did, genius, thinking of that ahead of time, knowing that the stressful.
I'm just trying to get across the ocean.
Yeah.
With the full team.
That is great. That is fantastic. There's two of the guys there, Angus and Alex.
Yeah.
Correct.
Nice.
They came across as just absolute, I don't know what else to call them, stud horses. I mean, they look like just physical specimens in so many ways. I know you guys talk about how close you all are now and how hard you worked at creating that team over a 2-year period. What is that relationship like now? If we've got this up behind you. 2021, you decide to get in a boat again and row across the Pacific. Is that relationship still there? I'd just be interested to know how close you guys still are with those guys.
Yeah, I mean, no two teammates are closer than Tom and I. Any
Okay.
combination.
Yeah.
Just because probably by virtue of two things. One is how close we started and what we went through, but the other one is the close proximity. We live in the same town. We choose to be close and prioritize that friendship. But we're close with everybody with the exception of Greg. That's another podcast, Sean.
Yeah,
But
trust me, the team here wanted to do
I
an
know.
entire
Well,
interview
that'll
with
be
you
another
and
one.
Greg.
That's gonna cost you. But yeah, we're all close. You know, it's tough because you're out there spending this close time with each other, and you feel like, oh, we'll be this close forever. But the reality is, you won't ever be that close because you'll never be in that situation. From the minute you hit the dock.
Yeah.
You're being pulled in. So you have to know that moment is the last moment you'll have. I even say for a second there, you don't even want to get off the boat. There is a split second where you don't because you know it'll never be the same again. What Tom and I had will never be the same again. Even though we see each other almost every single day, we can't really recreate the magic that was in the boat.
Sure.
That being said, all of our teams, we stay very close with everybody. We're all brothers, and we can go months, even years without talking. Alex and Angus are across the pond there. Matt's in Texas now. Okay. So we've got Nick's in Pittsburgh. So you've got we're spread out, but it's something that can never be broken. So.
Yeah, you forever got that bond.
Mm-hmm. Yeah,
great. Well, okay. So last couple things here. I know you and I've talked a lot about reading, and leaders are readers, and you're an avid reader. I love it as well. I'd love to get a sense for on that boat when you're sleeping. Are you reading? Are you doing anything like that? Is there anything that you did that was normal? I know there's things you're in a boat that's 30 feet long.
This is hilarious. I brought 8 books on the first row. 8 books. I was like, absolutely. I was like,
nice.
This is great. Talk about the reading time. This is naivete. It's grace. I read 1 page, threw up, and then never read another page.
Yeah, those books were not getting opened.
No. I was bringing paperback books. In a boat with salt water everywhere. Like, are you
just water?
Yeah, it was just ridiculous. I brought these books, and so
the intent was there.
The intent was there, but then you just say you put an audiobook on your iPod and you click.
Just be a normal human
being.
Just
think it's the whole what did the U.S. asked, NASA spent $1 million to make a ballpoint pen that would write in space, and then the Russians just used a pencil. It was one of those situations.
Got it. I love it.
Good way.
I love it. I love it, man. Well, good. Yeah, I think we'll probably look to wrap up now, but I think how much impact this will it will have, I think is going to be amazing. I'd love to get just kind of some closing thoughts from you guys in terms of hey, this is out. You got the premieres happened. We got people that are going to be able to start purchasing it, and any words to share with people that are watching or listening to it right now in terms of what they're going to see after 90 minutes?
Well, I would say watch it and then let me know what you think. I mean, I want to know because, and that's not lip service. I hope, and I don't want to hear what you think about my journey. I want to hear what you see in yourself. And that's really. There's nothing better than having someone watch this doc and say, you know what, it reminds me of, and then they start to go into a story of their own. That's the best, you know? And so, and if you can't get a hold of me or for some reason, then share it with somebody else, or hopefully it makes you want to look at a relationship you have differently, or a goal you have differently. If it's doing that, then it's doing its job. So watch it and then talk about it.
Yeah.
So
I love it.
Yeah.
I love it.
Tom,
what do you think?
Yeah, well, I would say ultimately, no matter what you believe, it's going to be a great watch. It's going to be entertaining, and you're going to see something that not a lot of people see every day on TV, ocean rowing. And personally, my belief and my hope is that somebody who thinks, I'm nothing, I'm not a great athlete, I didn't come from that background, I don't know what I'm doing, I'm not good enough, or I have my own struggles. Don't think that great things can't happen. Yeah. And just, it's right there.
Yeah. I see this as just such an inspiration. I mean, I think when people, give it a watch, spend the 90 minutes, it's so worth it. And I think, anyone that does absolutely is going to be able to draw on this as a, whether it's inspiration or create some internal motivation. I think it's going to have a lot of impact. So yeah, we appreciate you guys coming down and sharing your time with us and watching it.
Been great.
It was awesome. And so again, for those of you that are watching or listening, it's Jason Caldwell, Latitude 35, and their race across the Atlantic Ocean. So that'll do it for us here today at E-Team Sponsor Headquarters in Concord, California. Jason, Tom, appreciate you both. Thanks for coming on.
Pleasure.
Glad we were able to get the Tom cam set up.
Yeah.
I know our team's
there it is.
I hope one day that I get my own camera.
I got a bigger camera too. I don't know if you noticed.
I think it's zoomed in on your eyebrows.
We got it. So, but anyways, we'll sign off for now. And thanks for listening, everybody. We'll see y'all soon.
See ya.